Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the Genesis Battle of Champions Origins Kickstarter release, the print runs and the rarity, based on the information given on the website, Haunted Castle Gaming, as well as based on some uncut sheets that we've seen from the community flying around. Let's dive right in. All right, here's what we know about the set. I don't need to read this all off, but we've got commons, uncommons, rares, starters, which includes champions and tokens. And also for the rares, the epics are the same. There's 32 of each. We've got 5,000 booster boxes that were printed. Each box contains 24 packs. Each pack has 8 commons, 4 uncommons, 2 rares, and a starter card, with the exception of packs that have an epic or a foil in them. So 1 in 7 packs contains an epic, which would replace an uncommon card, and 1 in 17 packs will include a foil card, which will replace one of the common card slots. What we don't know, we have secret rares. We know that there's 2 of them. Zafar on the left there, you see him. The Discord Bunny. We also have an Alt Art Iblis, and these have a tendency to show up in God packs. God packs are an all foil pack that we do not know the pull rate of, and we do not know if that 1 in 17 foils accounts for God packs or not. So bear with me as we go through this information. So here's the numbers again, kind of summarized and kind of breaking down what we know so far. So we know that if we have 1 in 17 foil packs, we have approximately 7,058 packs that contain foil. We have 1 in 7 epic rares, which gives us approximately 17,142 epics, which breaks down to approximately 535 of each epic. And then so on with rares, we have approximately 7,200 of each. Uncommons, 12,000 of each. Commons, we have about 12,877 to 13,000 of each of those. There are 2 versions of Yamaduda, so that's why that number is a little bit different. And then we've got from the starters, the champions, and the tokens, we have 12 different champs. We have 9 tokens. If we assume even distribution, we have 3,636 of each, and likely more for the champions, which we will get into shortly here. All right, so the other source of the information outside of the website were some foil sheets that I got from one of the members of the Discord community. I got him to send me some pictures. I actually spent quite a bit of time poring over these and kind of mapping this out. And so I'm going to show you really quickly here what that looks like. So when we look at the map that I built for the foils, I essentially went through, I have every card in the set kind of listed here. And then I went through and I actually put what sheet, what row, and what slot each foil card has. And so you can kind of see here the occupancy slot was in sheet 2, row 3, slot 2, and so on. And you get to see how many times each one is represented and which ones were represented. So there were no epics on these foil sheets. We had Iblis and Zafar on there, which are the 2 secrets. And we did have this one here, Clone, which was on there twice, which we're going to get to because that's very interesting. That's one of my key findings that I thought was important. And then this recomposition one. So I'm going to go back to the other foil sheets for a second. So here are the 2 foil sheets. This one on the left here is 100 cards, and the one on the right is 50 cards, plus they had this poster of the Angel of Retribution. And so out of the 2 sheets, you have 150 foil cards. When we look at these, we actually do see that you can see the Discord Bunny is on here. I gotta zoom in somewhere. But regardless, you can take my word for it. There's an Alt Art Iblis and a Discord Bunny on there. Those are the secret rares. Now, when we look at the foils, we have this 100 card sheet, another 50 card sheet. We know that the epics were only in the box topper, so we're going to ignore that for this section here. Of the rares, each rare is printed in foil once for the 2 foil sheets. Of the uncommons, each one is printed in foil once, except for clone, which is printed twice. Of the commons, each one is printed in foil once, except for recomposition, which is not printed in foil at all on these two sheets. When we get to the starters, the champions are not printed on the foil sheets. We did get one set of foils as promo cards, and presumably they will do the other alt art as some kind of other promo, or maybe with the retail version. And of the tokens, we did have the occupancy token was printed, the two different print alt arts of that, as well as each one of the secret rares. So if you're following me, all the cards that were printed once each. Now, what this looks like to me is every single foil is just as equal in rarity, including the secret rares. So it's really important to note, if you believe the information I have is where they're getting all the foil sheets from. So we have about 7,058 foils. We have approximately 47 of the two foil sheets were printed. I imagine there was more printed because some were given out as Kickstarter pledges, as well as they may have some for prizes. So there may be maybe 60 of these foil sheets altogether. I don't know what that total is or how many of the foil sheets were sold. But when we look at this, that means we have approximately 47 copies of each of the following cards. The occupancy tokens, both versions, all commons except recomposition, all uncommons except for clone, which will have which would have 94 copies, and then 47 copies of each rare and each secret rare. So what that means is, if this is true, clone is the most heavily printed foil in the set, and recomposition is not printed in the set. And so my challenge to you, if you're watching, is dig through your cards and tell me if you have a foil recomposition, because I really want to know if what I found is true or not. And I think that this could be a really cool, unique thing in the future that is going to drive OCD collectors nuts. And I hope they get it right for the retail version, but we'll see. When we go on to the non-foil sheets, again, we've got the non-foil starters. There's a starter sheet. So this has the tokens and the champions. And then we have a non-foil epic sheet. And so we also have a rare sheet, which is identical to the epic. It's just the rarity has changed. So the placement of the cards is all the same. And then we have an uncommon sheet. And so I did the same thing going through with everything for the non-foils here. So I basically went through and mapped out every card from the different sheets to understand how many instances of each were on each sheet and if there was any kind of significance to that. And so I'm going to show you the results of that. So when we get into the actual numbers of the non-foils, so here's what we know. There were a few different non-foil sheets, each with 100 card on them. There was a starter and token card sheet that I just showed you, an epic sheet, a rare sheet, an uncommon sheet, and there's a common sheet that I do not have any images of, so the information for that will be missing from this. But when we looked at the epics, of all 32 epics, each one is represented 3 times, except for the following cards, which were represented 4 times: a Hayam, Rock Crusher, Firing Krog, and Lava Rider. So those 4 cards will presumably be higher print than the rest of the epics. And this is also the same for the rares because they use the exact same sheet format. When we move on to the uncommons, there's 40 uncommons in the set. 21 of them are represented 3 times. 18 are represented twice. And 1 is only represented once, and that's Geomantic Explosions. Of the commons, I do not have that. And the starter and champions, I do not have. Actually, I do have that, so that's in here, so we'll get to that. So when we get to the epics, we have 1 in 7 packs. Again, will be replaced with an epic, so we know that there's approximately 17,142 epic cards, which would be 171 epic sheets. So multiplying the number of sheets by the number of instances of each card is how I deduced these numbers, and that means we have approximately 513 copies of most epics and 684 copies of the 4 cards on the screen here. So these ones would be a much more higher print run, and the rest of them would be all equal with about 513 copies. Rares, the exact same thing. The only thing that changes is the number of rares and the number of copies. So that delta gets a little bit more. We see 7,200 of each and 9,600 copies of each of the other 4 that are on the screen. I have a typo there. It says epics. This should say rare. When we get to the uncommons, we've got 480,000 uncommons if you work out 4 uncommons per pack, minus the epics that took up an uncommon slot in the pack. So we had about 462,858 uncommons, which equates to about 46,285 uncommon sheets. And when we look at those, the cards that were represented 3 times, so there's 21 of them. There's about 138,855 copies of those. There's some that are represented twice. There's only 92,570 copies approximately of each of those. And Geomantic Explosions is actually the rarest one with only 46,285 approximate copies. Why is this important? Well, depending on how many you run in a deck and how many copies people want to have, it's going to make certain uncommons a little bit harder to get, especially if they're more playable ones. And so I have the information. If people really want to see this, I can show you the list of those cards. I just don't have them here to show you which ones were more short printed. And so the commons, champions, and tokens sheet, we need to update this. Sorry, I didn't make a slide for the champion and token sheet, but I can show you the information here right now. So basically what you have is each champion here. There's the 12 different champions, 2 versions of each. They're all printed twice on one of these sheets, except for Iblis, the 1A alternate art, and Minot 2B. Those ones were printed 3 times, so they're slightly higher printed than the other champs. And then when you get to the tokens, you see here we've got Bacteriophage and Bernaviridae and the occupancy tokens. We've got 4 of each of those on a sheet. And then we've got Rhinovirus, we've got 5. And then when we get to the Vaduta tokens, we've got, I think, like 7 or 8 of each of those, depending on which one you have. The token number 8, I believe, the Vaduta token number 7 is the most highest printed one of that. So I didn't think that this was really super important for everybody, but we can get you more of those details later. All right, we're going to move on to the box toppers because I think this is kind of cool as well. So by the numbers, what we have for box toppers, we have about 5,000 booster boxes. We know there's 1 box topper per pack, per box. Each box topper pack will contain 1 foil epic electrical storm promo. So we know there's 5,000 copies of that at least out there. They will contain 1 random foil epic rare. So we know we have 5,000 foil epic rares at least. And then in addition to the 1 of each of the above, there will also be 1 of the 4 items here. So we'll either have 1 in 17 of these packs will include a signed random foil epic rare. So that would equate to approximately 294 signed epic foil rare cards. We have another option could be 1 in 50 chance of an Origins sample foil card, which there's approximately 100 of those. Another option would be 1 in 73 to get a pre-alpha card, approximately 78.5 pre-alpha cards. Or the last option would be another random foil epic rare. So you get approximately 4,538 of those because that's the difference between minus 5,000 minus these other 3. And so let's go into each one of these. So the signed random foil epic, if there's approximately 294, I'm not sure why I have 9534. Ignore this number here. There's approximately 294 of these, and there's 32 epics. You have approximately 9 copies of each signed foil epic. There may be more of certain ones or less. I don't know how the foil epic sheets were printed, because when we looked at the epic sheet, these 4 cards were higher print, so there's a chance that these may have a higher print run. I'm not sure. The random foil epic rare, we have approximately 4,538 of those. We have approximately 298 copies of each. Again, ignore this number. I'm not sure why I have that. There may be more of the below. Again, the same thing. If there's 298 copies of these, then there's probably going to be slightly more of these 4 if the print sheets were the same as the non-foils. When we get into the sample cards, if you go on their website, they're telling us that there's 97 unique sample cards, 1 copy of each. But the data that they've given us says it's 1 in 50 packs for a sample card, which would equal 100 sample cards. So that's greater than the 97 as per their Haunted Castle Gaming website. So I'm not sure what to think of that. If there's either the 1 in 50 is just a rounding error, or if there's actually 3 more samples that they haven't put on their website. And when we get into the pre-alpha, we've got a little bit of a data discrepancy as well there. When you take the 1 in 73 packs containing 1, and you get approximately 68.5, that's about 8 to 9 cards higher than what they're showing on their website. On their website, they give this list of these cards here and these quantities, which equals 60 pre-alpha cards. So I'm not sure what to think of that. So take this box topper data with a grain of salt until maybe Sid or somebody clarifies that for us. I did want to just quickly put, some of the people in the community were asking how to determine the difference between a pre-alpha card. And so, originally the intent was that the set, I believe, was going to be named Jalera. So they had JAE in the bottom corner here. And this was later changed to APH for alpha. So in order to distinguish different pre-alpha and alpha cards, we have, I've got just an image here for you. So we've got 3 cards here. This is a pre-alpha, this is an alpha 2017, and this is an alpha 2018. And the way you can tell is in the bottom corner here. The JAE is the pre-alpha ones. Then they have to, JAE was also used in Welcome to Jalara. So the distinguishing features are this scroll-like text box is what alpha had. And then in the bottom corner, this JAE indicates that it was a pre-alpha card. And for the other alpha cards, you look in the bottom right corner here at the date. And so we have 2015 to 2017. So that's what is generally referred to as alpha 2017. And then the ones that have a 2018 copyright are the second wave of alpha, and those are generally referred to as alpha 2018. Okay, so these are the overall musings I have for this set, and kind of a summary of what I've presented here. There's 4 epics and rares that are higher print run. The shortest printed uncommon is Geomantic Explosions. The highest printed foil is Clone. And the only card not printed in foil is Recomposition. And what's really important, I think, for the community, because people are going nuts over them, is these secret rares. As far as I can tell, the secret rares are just as rare as any non-epic foil, except for Clone, which is double the print. So if you pull a foil common or a foil Zafar, they technically are just as rare. And I believe that that's important because everyone's going crazy thinking these secret rares are super low print, and they are, but all the foils are low print. So keep that in mind when you're collecting. Keep that in mind when you are wanting the cards or buying or selling them, and have a good day and enjoy.